Hello, gentles and ladymen. I'm Ulan Gaming. I am joined by Steven. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
And today I bring you a casted game that I was A, sad that I didn't record live, in hindsight. B, sad that I casted once and then the audio got screwed up and the person I was casting with got recorded 10 seconds later than they should have. And now, see, I am finally here casting it for a second time. This is a competitive match between me and lesbian fisting sex, my Mexican teammates, versus Aqua Cielo playing British, and his teammate, playing Russia. As you can see, he has no name.
It's he who shall not be named to
Yes.
match up against
It
the
is
censorship bait.
It is he who shall not be named. Now, this game right here was a competitive game using my new Malta Petard strat, of which a video came out either yesterday or the day before featuring this strategy, so go check that out if you haven't already. But the basic idea is I took the Dutch Petard start and discovered that you could do it with Malta way, way, way better, and adjusted the whole strategy, brought it over across to a different civilization, and now we've been winning competitive games with it. And this was probably the closest call of all the games we had. We haven't lost with it so far, but we've only done 3 games with it in comp. At the time of this recording, and it was a very, very fun game. Now, what I will say is, for a majority of the game, I will be keeping Fog of War on, because this was an extremely intense game, but only if you have the Fog of War and understand the situation of everybody's knowledge of what is going on. Because if you watch it without the Fog of War, it's kind of boring. I called this game a Cold War game, because I put up missiles in Cuba, and then there was very little fighting until a treaty at the end finished everything. So to speak. So let's go.
For those at home unaware, this is going to be an extremely fast rush if you haven't watched his previous video on
as
this.
you can see, I'm already aging up. I did a 10-10 with Malta and have not selected a deck yet, and have not sent a card despite having a trade post. And that is by design. Our British teammate over here. Let's take a look at his deck. He's got a very longbow-focused deck, very economic. He's got a lot of upgrade cards for his economy, and land grab and stonemasons and all of that jazz. He's very much so planning on just kind of chilling back and booming. Now, with the Petard Rush, you want to target somebody who is going to dearly miss their town center. Somebody who cannot really boom without their town center. So the British is not who you want to target with the Petard Rush. But the Russia player is who we want to target with the Petard Rush. Unfortunately, if we look at his deck name, it's called Turtle. And that kind of threw us for a loop when we attacked, and it resulted in the rest of the game. As you will see it play out. He is doing a 20 villager age 1 as Russia, with me doing a 10-10 as Malta. Could not have any more opposite fucking...
I don't think I've ever seen a 20 vil up from Russia.
He's aging with the logistician, is why he's taking all that extra time.
Oh, he's going for the blockhouse logi?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes, he is. And then Mexico just be doing Mexico things. I don't really know what else to say. He sent the Rancheros card, so he can start spawning Cuatreros as soon as he gets stage 2 out of his Hacienda for free. And he's planning on doing a Baja Revolts. Now, I've done a lot of experiments with pairings and teams with the Malta Petard Rush, and our favorite one to do is a team strat where I rush with the Petards, and then immediately after, he pushes in the person that we just hit the town center of with a Baja Revolt, and we call the strategy Shock and Awe. Because at one moment your town center's there, and then it's gone, and you have a whole bunch of filibusters in your base, and you're just in shock and awe.
Yeah, it's particularly nasty because you don't even have a shelter anymore for your
Yes.
tellers.
So part
I
of
just thought
part of the strategy is waiting until age 2 to pick your deck, because I'm not sending any cards in age 1, and so it makes me more likely for my opponents to underestimate me and think that I'm a noob, when in fact it's all Keikaku Dori, so as to speak. So we have our 700 coin shipment in, we have our hospitality shipment in for a fast age up, and we're going to be aging up with the sergeant at arms in order to get 4 hospitalers. We have our outpost going up here, and I'm being very careful. I could have placed the outpost a little bit closer, but I wanted to be very careful to avoid these hunts, since I know the villagers are actively hurting, as you can see right there. Mr. Lesbian has revolted. Unfortunately, he has a couple different things that he wants to do, so his army is going to be a little split up for the time being. I'm about halfway to age 3, almost halfway. And from our opponent's perspective, the British guy is just building outposts all over his base. And
Interesting.
Russia just hit age 2. He already has 1 blockhouse. He's getting a second. He's building a second with his villagers and getting a third with his wagon here. He's gonna have 3 blockhouses before my petards come in. Which is just crazy. This guy was really turtling very, very hard.
I wonder if the British player was turtling before the Baja Revolt kicked in, or if they dropped that second tower once they saw that happen.
Well, they haven't seen anything from us. They don't know any of this exists here.
Well, they don't know any of that exists, but they say that they saw him go for Baja, and that's a strong telegraph rush.
Yes, but the Russia guy was very obviously planning on doing this from the beginning.
Yes.
The enemy has seen the purple outpost at this point, because it's within range of this blockhouse up here. And oh, here we go. The petards are in, and I say, okay, let's go. Right now. We need to push. And so we all run forwards. And we realize, oh shit, he has 3 blockhouses and aged up with the logistician. And even smarter, this guy is having all of his blockhouses target 1 petard. He pops out Minutemen,
Yeah.
They have a multiplier, they target another, that's 2 petards down.
Ooh.
And this town center is alive with 100 HP.
100 HP, oh jeez.
And so we run in like the fucking dude from Lord of the Rings with the torch. Shoot him down, Legolas! Shoot him down! But alas, it's too late. We've taken down the town center, and this is normally where we have a huge military advantage and can just push and push and push and keep the pressure up and chase the enemy's villagers around. But this Russia player, although down at town center, has completely defended this through just sheer mass of strelets and outposts. And he doesn't realize it at this point, but he can totally just push, because all we have is 2 outposts. Now, granted, his units have no siege, and that's probably why. And with the fire throwers in particular, that would not have gone well. But now that I have the fire throwers, I'm keeping the hospitalers in stand your ground mode, so that they just stay in place and provide damage resistance, and so that they don't run off in case the Cossacks show up, because I knew he had shipped those. So now, yeah, we're just kind of running around doing what we can. The last thing we want is a prolonged engagement, but now I am retreating. All we want to do is kind of just scare them a little bit and keep the pressure up. But we're at this point where we don't really know what we're gonna do now. I have the 1,000 coin that I would use to normally send giant grenadiers, but I haven't had very many units die like I usually do, so it's time to chop for a house. And now we approach the Cold War scenario, where everybody is just trying to tiptoe around here and do what they can. And this is the importance of information, is they don't know what we have. They just know that there is a fortified forward base up here, and that I have hospitalers, and that every time they leave, I ambush, and ambush, and ambush, because I have much better line of sight than they ever realize. And it's just a really fascinating... As we enter this slight lull... And by the way, we don't know what's going on with Brits. As we enter the slight lull, what are your thoughts, Stephen?
My thoughts are I can immediately see what's happening here for you guys to break the stalemate, but I'm going to leave that for a surprise. And then those fire throwers are really doing work here because you're convincing him that you have more of a military than you actually do.
Yes,
If he were to just push in right now, like, yes, you'd kill about half of his strelets, but he'd eliminate everything there.
And I
it does
have
come down.
0 economy as well.
Yeah, and we also know that Les on the other side has 0 too because he's lost in his entire filibuster mass, so he has nothing. And as part of the revolt, he has. I'm assuming, yeah,
77 population.
Well, he now has 3 settlers and a factory.
3 settlers and a factory. And this is the importance of information. They don't know what you know, and if they kind of thought it out, they might realize they have a bigger advantage than they think. But all they know is that every time they leave, I ambush and take and kill more than I lose. So here we have this fixed gun. Normally, I would be sending mercenaries. However, I've kind of recognized that where we're at in this point in the game has not been good, and that adding 8 more units is probably not going to go well, so I decided to bring in a siege option that will put pressure on our opponents from a safe distance away, instead of being aggressive like I usually do at this point in the push. And unfortunately for him, all 3 of these blockhouses are in range here.
And that's going to definitely convince them to stay more inside their shelter. They're saying you drop this forward. You know, they're saying you do some really ballsy things here, dropping that forward fixed gun. They're saying you run around with 8 fire throwers in advanced position. That's not something that you typically do when you only have 8.
And so I'm carefully watching these guys, and I'm just trying to keep my fixed gun hitting pretty much every possible unit that goes into its range. But he's been very careful and very good about tiptoeing as far away as he possibly can. He's got Cossacks up around here somewhere, yeah, up in this corner here. And this has become a Cold War fog of war battle where it's just a very prolonged siege. Missiles in Cuba, as I like to call it. Burning down this trade post down here. I finally have the capability to ship mercenaries now, which is a really big deal. And we've also started to build a mass up. He started to build his coin economy by mining with all of his filibusters, and we're getting ready to push again soon here, I think, right when these giant grenadiers arrive. But now he's 2 blockhouses down, and he's gonna lose his 3rd. Now, you know what's crazy is those blockhouses were in range, but these settlers are not.
Oh, they're right on the edge.
They're right on the edge.
Those strelets have disappeared on the sides. They're either walking back around top, or they're pushing down towards Les's base right now.
Yeah, they're walking around to the top. Well, they're returning, rather.
There they are.
Because he's like, I can't leave the base with this shipment point and thing right here, and yeah, it wasn't smart of him to go, and so he did the smart decision and left. I mean, ideally, the smartest decision would have been to attack before I got my depot up, but now that I got the depot up, this thing will kill, like, whole hordes of strelets, and he cannot get close to this depot.
No.
And
he can't push in.
This depot right here is the only thing keeping me safe. But here we go, we start to push. He tries to push in from the backside, but I ambush him before he does it, and he's lost half his military. Thank you, giant grenadiers.
Such wonderful units, such broken units.
This is why this strategy works so much better with Malta than Dutch, because Malta has giant grenadiers and armored pistoliers. And so now that I got my mercenary shipments, and I've shaved off half his army, we go for a big push in the center here. And see just the strelets just going down one after the next, then fire throwers putting in a lot of work. These filibusters performing quite well, honestly, under the circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
Sending Wignacort, my first economic shipment after 14 minutes. I tried
Show
building
me
a
another
depot.
game where it's
I tried
fun.
building a depot, but it's the space has been filled, and my explorer is not going to live. So he goes down, unfortunately, and we've recognized that this push has failed, and so I just try to get out with whatever I can. Luckily, they can't
Honestly,
chase us too
walking out.
far. They can't chase us too far because of the fixed gun. Unfortunately,
still-
he stays in the range just short enough that it doesn't get a shot off. I was super pissed about that.
Oh, you're gonna move it in, eh?
Yeah. And we're at this point where right here, I was like, wait, I should move this fixed gun. And then I go, wait a minute, my explorer's dead. And I need to move this fixed gun, but I can't right now, and it drives me crazy. So you'll see me in a couple seconds. I'm going to get the explorer back. But, you know, from their perspective, all they know is that every time they tried to leave their base, I've ambushed them and killed half their forces. And that there is this huge, like, unknown over here. This black mass where there's fixed guns, depots, and who knows how many outposts.
Mm-hmm.
And over here, you can see he's got... British has 5 outposts in his base and 2 in Blue's base. And he's already building back up all his blockhouse army. He's gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blockhouses right
He
here.
has his full number out.
6 blockhouses. 6 blockhouses. I'm blind. Okay. This is gonna be a 6th blockhouse. This is just an insane fortification battle, and what they don't realize is all they have to do is push with their army and they win. But because of the pressure that we've put on them and the threat that we have presented, they keep thinking that they are worse off than they actually are.
I find it interesting that they pushed for the trade post on your side behind the outposts and the fixed gun that they knew was there.
It's probably because we are here and therefore their armies are here already, and they just didn't want to walk across the whole map in case the army was needed.
Yeah. Well, if Britain had sent 5 pikemen here to go take care of that trade post that Les dropped towards the north there on the Brit side player, they could have taken that out.
Exactly.
So it's just interesting.
So now we see the fixed gun is getting refunded, and I'm about to rebuild it. Right here, you can see me pinging its location that I'm planning on building it, because I want to provide a bigger threat now that everything in range is destroyed.
And you have the
taking up all the
ability to
coin
get closer.
mines. So yeah, we're building here, and we're gonna get a new depot as well. I found out recently that the refund only gives you 90% of your resources back, not 100.
Huh.
Yeah, interesting, right?
That is interesting. So what's our next shipment after this?
We'll see it in a second here. I don't remember exactly what it was. I think I just asked Les if he could send me some coins so I could send armored pistoliers.
Mm.
Yeah, there's 1,000 coin from Les, ship armored pistoliers. I wasn't expecting him to send me 1,000. Again, these settlers are out of range.
Ah.
I keep telling the fixed gun to fire and it says no, so I'm like, well, blockhouse it is. Lucky-ass settlers. They were lucky over here, and now they're lucky here. But this is another blockhouse that's gone for a very, very minimal resource investment from me. And I have not trained a single unit this entire game. My sole production building is right here. Everything has been shipped, and I'm gonna realize that these are out soon. But now you see me collecting this, and that's because, hey, Liz said to me, hey, look, they are bunkered in. They have stronger economies than us. Britain in particular has a huge score lead. We're not going to win by pushing their pace. So let's do a trade economy instead. So I said, alright, that sounds good. And I built this trade post, and he sent annexation for Mexico, which can activate the trade post while in a revolt state from the Age 2 revolts. And now I have the armored pistoliers in combination with the giant grenadiers, which is just such an amazing combo of units. And look, we know that this is in here. We know we can't push. But he also makes these 2 mortars here, and I'm like, oh god, I can't hit those. They are in fact out of range for my fixed gun.
Oh my gosh, look at that. By like 1 tile.
Yep.
That's That's
Well,
hilarious.
the fixed gun has larger anti-building range than it has anti-infantry range.
Ah.
Yeah. So down goes that fixed gun, unfortunately, but we have them on a 4-minute timer now. They have to push out, and we have 8 trade posts, and in order for annexation to work, we have to have more than a half, which means if we lose 4 trade posts, then we lose the game. And that is the situation. This is a bit of a funny moment where the guy was just stupid with his borders and didn't realize.
I was about to say, go kaboom, go kaboom.
I think what happened... Oh, yeah, we have these pikemen, and now at the 20-minute mark, I train my first, like, batches of units with the Lipkid Tartar from the Yegbion, because I don't have the population for anything else. And I just run, and I'm like, let me just, like, harass these pikemen here, because we need to. Because if we don't harass these pikemen, we are not going to win.
And they're sending in those...
Russia is sending Cossacks, Opries, down to this trading post. I notice it in a couple of seconds here. And I'm like, shit, we gotta save that right the fuck now. But right now, there's 2 minutes and 40 seconds left before we either win or have to resign. And this is gonna come down to the narrowest of margins. They destroyed 1 trade post. And this makes them 2 for 2 right here with destroyed trade posts.
Just barely.
Just barely. My depot blows up, once again ambushing his units, and I have a Boyar shipment to take out the Strela Horde. These guys are like Delhis, but better because they get promotions. They have 1 attack speed. These guys, once again, just scare him back into his base, and that's all I need to do right now. That is my entire job, is to just keep the enemies scared and back in their base. And they're doing a good job, because all of this time wasted is time that they're not sieging down our trade posts. But now they're gonna try to grab this one out here in a couple of seconds, in a way that is just impossible for us to stop. Because he's got a couple units that are poking around here waiting for somebody to come down and siege, and what they end up doing is firing mortars from behind a wall.
There's nothing you can do
There's
there.
nothing we can do there. But I see this right here. I see he's trying to push out with his army. I'm moving up to protect this because it's one of our all-important trade posts.
And that's your last one. You can only lose 1 more.
Yeah, if we lose 1 more, we lose the game. And luckily, I get the ambush on his army again! Because he doesn't have the line of sight I do. And with the armored pistoliers and giant grenadiers and fire throwers, just obliterate his force here. So now I know he's certifiably scared, and he can't burn this down now, unless it's with Opries, which is why I have the Litka Tartars here. And then Les says, wait, I think I saw movement over here. I think they're going for this trade post down in the south. And he's gonna ping it in a couple of seconds. We have 30 seconds left, and so everybody is moving our armies down south as fast as we can, just in case they try to hit this one, because we know this one is safe at this point. And there the pikemen show up.
There's the 10 pikes.
15 seconds left. It's veteran. I'm looking at the map. I'm trying to look at the time, trying to judge whether or not we go, and I say, dude, I think we got this. I think we're safe. And then the mortars show up. And the game ends before they can take a shot.
If they'd gotten 1 shot off.
If they had 2 more seconds to lay down and fully fire their first shot, we would have lost the game right here. But because of the information that they didn't have, the threat that we posed, and the fact that we used our line of sight so well to ambush their forces and keep them in base all game, they ended up losing to a trade monopoly when they had well over ours combined score with just 1 person, or almost over our combined score with just 1 person.
Why don't you flip over to the other team's line of sight right now? Look how much of the map they don't know.
Yes. This is why information is important. They knew nothing about our bases.
There's 4 Falcons sitting in base there. Yeah, imagine.
Just the craziest game.
Yes.
And it was a fun game because there's no combat. There's no combat anywhere. There's only one real point where two armies like clash at their fullest strength, and it's so one-sided, and yet it's such a tense Cold War scenario. We were tense throughout this whole fight, and then it came down to the wire with 2 seconds as our margin of error. And it was just one of the most intense games I've ever played.
Wild. Oh, that was one heck of a win for you guys.
Any final thoughts before we say goodbye to the viewers?
Yeah, this is why you scout.
This is why you scout. Indeed.
This is why you scout.
On the other hand, though, they were the only team to ever last longer than, like, my first mercenary shipment when we do the Pedard rush. Because normally we obliterate the TC of some unsuspecting victim and then just push with a huge force, and nobody is able to stop us. And they stopped us. They would have won. They missed victory by 2 seconds. What a game. Thank you for watching.
Definitely a good win on you guys.
Have a great day, and goodbye.